my gosh, it's over. No! Hey, it's Katie, and if you are not caught up on Game of Thrones, go away because I'm going to be recapping and reviewing episode 10, the season finale of season 6 of Game of Thrones, Winds of Winter. So I just have to start out saying that this is so sad that the season is over, and I almost, all day, I haven't been able to come to terms with the fact that it was going to be over for an entire year. I don't know why this time of year always flies by, but it's, oh gosh, it's so sad that it's over. But let's talk about the episode because Winds of Winter was awesome. We start off in King's Landing. We have Cersei getting ready. All the music is completely different than any other Game of Thrones episode. It was piano and it was a choir and it was so eerie. Get it? Eerie? You just kind of knew that something was going to happen. We start with the trials. So basically Loras is on trial. He renounces his house, says that he will not be the heir to Highgarden, and then he's branded. Cersei doesn't show up, and all of a sudden Margaery has this thought, well, if Cersei's not here and Tommen's not here, something's going to happen. We all need to leave. And in that moment, I was like, just get out, Margaery, just get out, because Margaery's one of my favorite characters. I love Margaery, and she just knows Cersei so well and knows that she would do something incredibly huge to get out of anything. And then we have the wildfire, which a lot of people were predicting was going to happen this season because of course she said in the past that she would burn cities to the ground for her children, which is exactly foreshadowing for what she did. She used the wildfire, she blew up everybody, she killed the High Sparrow. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to Margaery. No, I love Margaery. What a bummer. I'm a huge Natalie Dormer fan and I love Margaery as a character, and that is just so sad. I really didn't want Margaery to die, but you know, she died as well as all the other Tyrells. The house is basically dead. The only remaining survivor is Lady Olenna, which I'll get to, but yeah, so it's destroyed. Cersei saved Tommen and is watching from the Red Keep, and we see Tommen at the window, and I don't know if you guys were sitting there going, oh my gosh, he's gonna jump, but I sat there, I turned to my friend and I was like, he's gonna jump, oh my gosh, and he gets up on the windowsill and he just falls right off. Like, it was just so sad, and it was just such a sad moment because poor Tommen could never figure out what kind of king he was or who he was supposed to be, and whether it was the faith or his love for Margaery or both, he, I guess, figured out what he wanted in his life. And with all the prophecies, with Cersei being told that all her children would be dead, it was just a remarkable scene. The entire beginning of the episode was just incredible and visually incredible as well. Whether or not you liked the Tyrells or you liked Tommen, it could be sad for you. I'm happy the High Sparrow died. I'm happy he's gone. That definitely needed to happen. I just wish Margaery didn't have to be involved in that. So we actually went back to Dorne in this episode, which was exciting. A lot of people love Dorne, including myself. I feel like the scenes in Dorne haven't been utilized very much, and I found it extremely interesting that Lady Olenna is teaming up with Dorne. Dorne is teaming up with Daenerys. Daenerys has already teamed up with Theon and Yara Greyjoy. Everyone is coming together. We are condensing. We are cutting off the fat. We are grouping up. And we are finally going to get the epic finale to this series. I loved the scene with Dany and Tyrion where she makes him Hand of the Queen. I thought that was really special because for once Tyrion has someone who actually trusts and listens to his advice and believes in his counsel. And I think that's something that he's always wanted but no one ever gave him. And until he found Daenerys and started to team up with her, he's really found his place, and Daenerys needs him. She really needs him. So I love their dynamic. I loved that scene, and I just really look forward to seeing how their relationship progresses. So we go over to Winterfell where Jon and Sansa have taken back their home of Winterfell, but I loved the scene where Davos confronts Melisandre about Shireen. That's just heartbreaking, and I loved that performance by Davos because you could just tell how much he loved Shireen, and that scene was just so good. And so basically Jon Snow banishes Melisandre, says you can never come back here. I found that very interesting because Melisandre told Jon that he's going to need her to basically defeat the Night's King and Winter. which I do think is true. I do think Jon needs Melisandre, but she kind of needed to listen to him and not push him on this. So I'm really curious to see where she goes off, who she teams up with, or how she ends up making her way back into helping Jon. So we'll see about that. Maybe she'll have something to do with Lady Stoneheart next season. I am still waiting for it, okay? We had a nice little scene with Sam and Gilly where he's gonna become a new maester for the Night's Watch, and I really liked that scene. It was really sweet and it was short, which was good because a lot of us just wanted to get to the action, but they needed to set up his storyline for next season. And it was a beautifully shot scene too, of him seeing the library and all the books, and it's always been a dream of his because he loves to read, so that was a really cool moment for Sam. Are you guys finally happy? All right, Sansa apologized to Jon for not telling him that she asked Littlefinger for help and basically saved the day at the end of last week's episode, Battle of the Bastards. I know a lot of you guys were really mad that Sansa didn't tell Jon her plans. And understandably, of course, yeah, thousands of men had to die, and Jon almost died himself because she didn't communicate with him. So I did like their scene together where she apologized and he's telling her, you need to trust me, we have to trust each other if we're going to win this war. And that is definitely something that they had to work toward because they just reunited. Sansa was a little kid the last time she saw Jon Snow. There wasn't enough time to gain trust, and Sansa's been screwed over so many times by other people. It's kind of understandable why she kept that to herself, but at least she's learned her lesson, and I'm happy that they confronted it on the show, and that hopefully from here on out they can trust each other to tell each other things like that. But I had a feeling Littlefinger was gonna come crawling back like, oh hey, I scratched your back, I think you should scratch my back. Sansa's basically like, I'm good. I have a feeling that might cause some severe problems for Sansa. Littlefinger didn't seem to think that Jon Snow would be able to rally the North because he's a bastard, and Sansa is the true heir to Winterfell, and that she needed him. I like that Sansa was strong in that moment and basically was like, I don't need you. But the look at the end of the episode between Littlefinger and her was a little unsettling. So I think he has some interesting things up his sleeve. I really hope he doesn't betray Sansa, but he's just super creepy. He never liked Ned Stark because Ned was always the thing between himself, Littlefinger, and Catelyn Stark. He wanted Catelyn and Ned was always in the way, and I feel like this is the same sort of situation with, I want Sansa, but Jon's in the way now. So he's kind of reverting back to his old ways and his old habits, which is really super creepy with Sansa, but yeah, we're gonna have to see how that one goes. I really enjoyed the scene where Jon and Sansa are trying to rally the men, telling them the war's not over, it's just begun. You guys have to stay behind me, you have to help me. And I love that it's Lady Mormont again. Gosh, that kid is really talented, and she is an incredible character, and I love her, and I hope we get more of her in the next seasons. But I love that finally everyone declared Jon Snow king in the North, which is very interesting because that's never something he ever wanted or hoped for or dreamed of, and it's just happened for him. So it's gonna be really cool to see his progression and see how far they go, because obviously Dany is coming over with a giant group of supporters now, and she's coming over to take the Iron Throne, but Dany's never really discussed anything about the White Walkers and about what's actually going on beyond the wall. That is falling all on Jon. So I'm kind of curious if in the upcoming finales, if we're going to have the battle against Cersei for the Iron Throne and the Lannisters in general versus the Starks and Jon fighting the White Walkers. Because eventually Jon needs to meet Dany, which was also something that happened in this episode. We got Bran's vision. Huge thing that we finally found out was R plus L indeed equals J, which we've all been talking about since forever. So that was really cool to actually finally get there in Bran's vision and see that Ned took the baby and it was Jon Snow, and that was a good scene. And I'm really excited to see how he ends up interacting with Dany, because I was thinking about it, no one really knows the true story except for Bran now. So Bran has to tell Jon in some way. So maybe Bran will start to team up with Sansa and Jon, which would be really great. I really like that all these characters are starting to come together and everything is condensing. Let's get to one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode, and of course it's got my girl Arya. All right, I loved that Arya used a face to kill Walder Frey's sons, put them in a pie, feed them to Walder Frey, tell him that she was Arya Stark, and oh my gosh, were you guys just sitting on the edge of your seat like, yes, finally, God, kill Walder Frey. I was so happy it was Arya. Now I'm kind of wondering where Arya's gonna go from here. Is she gonna go seek revenge on everyone else, or is she gonna go team up with Jon and Sansa and go to Winterfell? Because if all the Starks can reunite, we got Bran, we got Jon, we got Sansa, we got Arya, if they can all reunite and become like this powerful force and take back what's rightfully theirs and seek revenge on the people that wronged them, that could be really cool. I also think Arya is gonna find a way to just seek revenge on her own, but we'll have to see. But that was one of my favorite moments. That was so great. So finally, the last few moments of the episode, we have Dany, Tyrion, Theon, Yara, they're all leaving Meereen. They're heading to Westeros. Finally, they have the ships, the dragons are flying above, they are headed to Westeros. Really cool. Really excited about that, and it's gonna be great. I just can't wait for the epic battle. I loved this next scene. Jaime comes home to see Cersei be announced as the new queen and sitting on the Iron Throne. It was such a powerful moment. The look on Jaime's face was everything. And I kind of have a little theory that Cersei is now the Mad Queen and that Jaime will have to be forced to kill her, which would be really cool. So that's just kind of my theory, because that look on his face was like, what happened? And he kind of seemed like he was done with her in that moment, but who knows? You know, they always go back to each other, so maybe he'll support her. But for Jaime, when is it enough? When is he going to realize that she destroys everything in her path? She's basically killed all 3 of their children. So in Cersei's prophecy, she's told that she will be queen until a younger, more beautiful woman comes to tear her down and take everything that she's ever loved. Everyone kind of thought that that was going to be Margaery, but it might end up being Daenerys. But I'm kind of seeing it as everything that she's loved and has already been stripped away from her, and I'm wondering if it's Cersei herself is the prophecy. Like the young Cersei destroyed herself at a young age because she knew that this prophecy might come true. Who knows? Who knows exactly what it's going to be, but I'm really looking forward to the Dany Cersei face-off. I just loved that final moment of her sitting on the Iron Throne. She finally had exactly what she wanted from the very beginning, to be queen, and now she is. It's interesting. It is really cool. This was such an awesome episode. I already talked about the music in the episode being different and being eerie and just kind of perfect for this episode. But if you notice, all of the power players in this episode wore black. Cersei wore black, Daenerys wore black, and then of course we've had Sansa in all black, Arya was in all black, Jon Snow always wears black, Lady Olenna was also wearing black. I thought the imagery and the, you know, maybe foreshadowing of these huge power players just all wearing the same color. And I just thought that was something really cool. That was a little attention to detail, whether it's on purpose or not on purpose. It's something that I noticed and something that I thought was really cool. I really liked this episode. I thought it was a great wrap up. This was just a really great season, and this episode really wrapped everything up that they started. And now next season we actually have the characters with a purpose to move forward in their overarching storylines. We're just getting closer and closer to the very end of this series, and it's devastating and it's heartbreaking, and I hate when the episodes are over. The next 2 seasons are going to be even shorter. We're not getting 10 full episodes, so I'm really sad. I just want more Game of Thrones. I'm not ready for it to end, and I know we still have 2 more years, but they're gonna fly by. Every year when Game of Thrones comes back, the time flies by, and guys, this was such a good season. I absolutely loved it. I would love to know what you guys thought of the season and what your predictions are for the next season. What do you think's gonna happen? There are so many theories. I'm probably gonna make a theories video in the future, just talking about what I think is gonna happen next season, but I'm really curious to hear from you guys. Ah, gosh, I'm so sad that it's over. I really wish it wasn't, but until next year, you guys. So let me know what you thought in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.